society, And so it seems like, now they don't make money off album sales like they used to because of the way that the internet's come into play. Mm-hmm. So that's taken a big chunk out of those big mega stars.
They don't make a huge amount on touring anymore.
Right.
The way they used to. Like, you don't...
Everything's closing, too. So it's like,
I'm bummed about Lincoln closing.
Is Lincoln closing now, too? Mm-hmm. The Berkeley closed.
They're done?
Yeah, apparently. There's a place in Nashville I just heard about. I lived in Nashville, Tennessee for a long time, and one of the biggest clubs there just closed. And it's like, there's no venue. I mean, it's like all these things are getting taken away, and it just so happens to be that a lot of them have to do with, again, people that had a lot of power to influence a lot of people.
Yeah. That's sad.
I mean, if John Lennon had run for office, he probably would have won.
Oh, for sure.
If that had ever happened.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying that the government killed him, but you never know.
Anything's possible.
Absolutely.
Anything's possible. And I always like the idea of maybe it is, maybe it ain't.
But yeah, that's the best you can do with most things.
But it's always a possibility. And it's like look at stuff like Firestarter, like Stephen King's Firestarter, and Stranger Things, and the way that that's all gone down. Who's to say that nothing like that has ever happened?
I believe that it has.
Oh, for sure. It's had to have. It's had to have come from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's the government. They can do what they fucking want to do, and they don't have to tell us shit.
Right.
They don't have to tell us anything. They'd be like, okay. It's the idea of, fuck you, peasant.
Right. Yeah. And people, they can be just as accountable for the fact that they don't speak up when things are, taken away.
That or they wipe it out so quickly, and then it never really comes out till it's like it's gone so far. Like all the experimentation that they do on soldiers and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, they have all these, wounded warrior. They're asking people for money to take care of people that these people should be taken care of from our tax dollars and from the government.
I feel like first and foremost.
Absolutely, And I mean, I'm the kind of person who wants to help somebody, a wounded warrior, if you will. But it makes me angry to know that they're having to resort to getting money from the starving people who are part of our society when the government should be the ones that are taking care of these people in the first place.
I've got a friend right now, and it's not something incredibly serious, but he was in the Navy. Like, he went and did some shit. Like, while he was in the Navy, he was deployed 2 or 3 times, and it's just little spots on his skin that could possibly be skin cancer, and he's not incredibly worried about it because he's like, it's been there for years, I'm fine, I don't feel like shit. He was like, I feel fine. I'm like, well, who's to say that won't change between now and January till your next appointment? It's October, it's the beginning of October, and you can't get an appointment until January the 13th.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and if something happened to him because of, his time in service, who's to say that him saying something about it isn't going to help somebody else? Him coming out and talking about it could be the very thing that starts something like this thing that's been going on with Camp Lejeune so recently.
I've only seen little bits and pieces of that.
I don't watch television that much, but I don't have any streaming stuff. I actually have just an antenna. Did you know you don't have to pay for television? It used to be you just bought the television and turned it on, and there was products on there.
We lived with an antenna for a long time, and then I got out kind of on my own when me and my ex-husband split up, and so I had internet, and I was like, what's this Netflix jazz about?
Right.
And next thing you know, I've got Netflix and Hulu and HBO Max and Shudder. Shudder's another good one if you like horror.
Oh, wow. No, I had to know about that one. That's cool.
It's all hard, like 24/7. It's like, it's probably the best $7 a month that I spend.
Wow. Okay.
As far as on entertainment goes.
Yeah. But I mean, we're getting to the point where everything that there is you need, has to be paid for. I mean, if they could charge us for air, they would.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
I mean, I'm drinking water that I bought. You used to be able to drink it out of the faucet. That's where I grew up, and which is
that's the
highly suspicious now.
Yeah. That's the moment that I realized that I was fucking privileged, when it was too hot and I was too tired to huff it on a rented bicycle. P.S. These bikes, the big clunky ones, some of them are electric assist, but not all of them are electric assist, and they still weigh like 70 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's terrible. But I put the bike away, wasted that $2.68, walked into the bar next to me, bought a canned water, Appalachian Mountain Stream canned water. It was good though. It was good.
All right.
But gave this dude $5 for a water. Now and then, and look, and I thought it had an alcohol content before I got started, so that's why I was like, okay.
It'll be worth to get a little buzz.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So I look at the can and I'm like, oh no, this is just water. This is just spring water. He was like, yep. Or no, rainwater.
Ooh.
It was rainwater. That's why I was like, so somebody just in their backyard. It is the first locally owned, it's not a distillery because they don't do alcohol. But it's one of the first ones in the nation to be able to collect and legally sell rainwater now. Well, why are they charging us for rainwater?
Well, because we'll buy it.
It's
it's like what you said. I mean, the level of entertainment and this, I mean, it's gotten better, but you have to pay for everything. You have to pay for water, rainwater. I mean, I don't know. I guess I could put my cup outside and do a little dance, or maybe get some right. And you never know what's up in the atmosphere these days.
Because what are they putting into the air?
Chemtrails. Prince was really into that. Do you like Prince?
I do like Prince.
He was like, there was an interview with him, and he obviously seemed to be very convinced that there was something to that.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't put it past any.
They don't care about us.
No, they don't. Well, I didn't open the show. It's recording, right?
Yeah.
We usually just have a very casual thing, so whatever you want to talk about. But we are, welcome to Velvet Aquarium. We're here with, can I say all your names? Mm-hmm. It's Crystal, Monique, Fitzpatrick Brown.
It is.
It's
a handle.
You've got a lot to explain there. Yeah. So you go by Crystal, right?
Yeah.
And
I was thinking about that earlier. I was like, man, when I started Knight Rider, I should have no, I think I want to go by Monique at this job. I think I want to hide over here at this job. I've been in restaurants for a really long time, and this is the first just a bar I've ever worked at. And
you have food there.
Yeah, I got corn dogs, and I've got
hot pockets and stuff, right?
I do have hot pockets, and I have very large frozen pizzas to take away.
That's pretty cool, and I like it too. Tim doesn't mind, or nobody says. What is your policy on, if I walked in there with pizza that I got from someplace else?
Oh, I don't care.
Yeah, I
don't care. You want to DoorDash some shit? DoorDash it.
Right.
I'll buy you a couple of drinks. Buy me something.
Okay. Yeah, I've done that too in a lot of places.
tried to talk people into doing that. I've tried, Sundays I'll usually DoorDash stuff. Tim does that at Ruby Deluxe as well. Sunday brunch.
Mm-hmm. I've done that from Capital Club, right?
No, I don't know, maybe.
I got something from Capital. This is, I haven't been to the drag brunch. God, it might have been, I don't even know if it would, no, it would have been during COVID, but in the opening up area or time period.
I did one at Raleigh Beer Garden. Right there around that time when there was, when we still had curfews set in place. That shit made me so mad. That's a cool pillow.
Thanks. I like stuff with texture,
Yeah. If I ever get my house straightened out and child-free, y'all ought to come down to the country for a bonfire or something.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
and show you a bunch of my hippie jazz. I
Where do
I
you
dig
live?
it. We're out in Zebulon, like right on the outskirts.
Led Zeppelin.
I always thought, like, that's how I remembered how to spell it a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There has a U in it, right? Zebulon.
Uh-huh.
Wow. I was never that good a speller, but yeah, I had a friend that's mother lived out there, so we used to go out there quite
Nice.
a bit. We watched some fireworks when I guess it was the 4th of July,
Yeah.
or maybe I was just high. Fireworks can change the weather, right?
True story. I was
So-
tuning into your record here.
Oh yeah, yeah. This stuff is really.
You feel me away far too empty, oh so alone. I want to come home, oh find me inside of a nocturne blonde. Oh, I love you to be by my side. They wail, the crab on her side. She straggled a bridge by the water.
Wonder how they get that echo effect in there. Or is that dependent upon where they're recording and
It sometimes you can get a natural sound. Like if I was to record a vocal and I wanted like a natural room sound, I could have this microphone right here to get a more of a direct thing,
right?
and then put a microphone over there, and then
I guess
use
that would
that,
create an
and then
echo.
and if you you can pull that up louder and have more echo, or you can have more direct, a little echo behind it. You can position it like you can have the direct one in this speaker,
Yeah.
and then have the echo over on the other one, so it goes
Right on.
But you can also just use stuff like reverb and things after it's recorded, or you can record it with the actual effect on it. Is what you could call it. I
Nice.
could talk about this stuff for days. So have you
See?
ever done any recording engineering or been in any
No.
sessions or?
No, not at all.
It's I mean there's a lot of stuff you can do to enhance any recorded sound. The best stuff usually comes from, well, this is my opinion, a good performance, and then picking up the atmosphere of the person in their natural habitat, so to speak.
Yeah.
When you put too much extra stuff on it after the fact, it kind of it masks the sincerity of the.
Yeah.
But some people don't want sincerity, I suppose.
Most people know.
Yeah. Actually, that's probably true, isn't it?
Most people know they do not. Now, how far does your musical taste? Is it okay if I put this here?
Oh yeah. Ukasa.
How far does your musical taste range? Like, I noticed you said you had a Prince album over there.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I listen to everything. I listen to. I got some jazz albums over there. I got some country albums over there. I told you I got John Howie Jr. I've got Bakersfield. Sound. Merle Haggard. Buck Owens.
mhm.
We were talking about Johnny Cash earlier. so,
Yeah, and
um,
Elvis. I love Elvis.
Elvis.
And
yeah.
Otis Redding.
Otis Redding's fantastic. Yeah.
Otis Redding's probably one of my favorites. It's for sure one of my husband's favorites.
Oh, good.
We ran across, last November, we ran across this kid named Eddie Ninevolt. He's probably 24, 25 now, out of Atlanta, Georgia. And like, we weren't paying attention. We were sitting at the bar at Poorhouse and just kind of waiting. And, they're coming out doing sound check, and you couldn't really tell what was going to go on by sound check. And I was like, man, I was there. Like, we paid, I think, $22 to see Reverend Peyton and the Big Damn Band. So it was just Eddie Ninevolt and Reverend Peyton. And that's like There's a lot of me and my husband both. It's significant. We listen to a lot of Reverend Peyton and a big damn band.
Now, can you tell me what that is?
It's like folksy and bluegrassy, and most of it's pretty peppy. It's fun. It's fun to listen to.
Yeah. Bluegrass is really high energy a lot of the time.
I like really high energy bluegrass. I can live without the slow stuff most of the time. I can live without the gospel bluegrass for sure.
Right. Elvis liked gospel.
He did. Now I did have Elvis's gospel album on vinyl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see the new movie?
I've watched the first hour of it or so, and I was like, huh. But also I've been consciously not really paying attention to it because we wanted to go see it in theaters and we missed it, so I'm like waiting for my husband to sit down and watch it with me.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a spoil. Well, maybe I shouldn't tell you this. He does some gospel at some point, and I really started getting pretty emotional.
Oh, good.
But I think it was good. I mean, biopics are biopics, and again, I like the period. I like the clothes. I like that he hung out with a young B.B. King.
Yes.
He's one of my favorites. Do you listen to blues?
I do. I like blues. I like blues a lot. I listen to a lot of punk. I listen to Irish punk. I listen to some Irish folk.
You like the Pogues?
I like the Pogues.
What kind of punk do you listen to?
Most of the time it's like kind of ska-ish kind of punk. Like I like the Interrupters. The Interrupters are badass. That was my daughter's first concert, and it was kick-ass. And we like ended up in this corner at the very front of the stage, and it was like a little kid mosh pit. Like a bunch of people had brought kids, and I got to listen to it. Oh, I know, it was nuts. My daughter was 8 years old and my son was 10 at that point, and we took both of them, and there was like a bunch of other little kids like that age.
You must be this tall to get in the mosh pit.
Right. Back towards the back of the because of that, back towards the back of the venue is where all of these other punks had started their mosh pit, way away from the kids. It was cool. It was the most family friendly concert I've ever been to.
The Disruptors? Is that what you call it?
The Interrupters.
Interrupters. The Interrupters.
Oh, no.
I could be called the Interrupter sometimes. Let me know if I interrupt you. Just...
My alarm's going off. I'm sorry.
Oh.
This is
what
mine.
that is.
Oh.
My bad.
Well,
I meant to do that before I came in.
While Crystal is answering her phone, we're going to take a break from this, with this, damn, I should have done this better. We're going to take a moment to have a word from our sponsor, Chicken Tonight. Maybe we could get a sponsor from Chicken Tonight sometime.
Okay.
I feel like chicken tonight, like chicken tonight.
My bad, yeah.
That's not a problem.
Alright.
I told you this is a very casual show. We just like to talk.
I found a patch.
Oh, yeah.
Neat.
Yeah, that ended up here. Somehow I was putting them up here, but they always bounce around. I heard, I used to listen to, like, San Francisco punk when I was a kid. That was my first, that and of course the Sex Pistols and the Ramones.
Yeah. I like mostly West Coast punk.
Yeah. I heard California Borealis, where they did Kennedy's, the other day, and I think it was on like a television show. And I've forgotten how it just sounded really good coming out of my speakers, but I've forgotten how good they were. I covered the police truck in a band I was in.
Nice.
Definitely a fan of that era.
Yeah.
So
We listen to a lot of metal too.
Oh yeah, what kind of metal do you like?
I don't know. I count Black Sabbath as like metal. I
Yeah.
feel like that was like the beginning of metal. My daughter just discovered, speaking of kids not knowing music and finding music and entertainment. My daughter just rediscovered Master of Puppets. She learned how to play Master of Puppets on the ukulele.
Oh, wow.
We bought her a ukulele maybe 4 years ago. She's 11 now.
Oh, I teach ukulele. You should get her over here. I'll show her some stuff.
Right on.
I've been teaching ever since I picked up the guitar, kind of.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How old were you when you started playing guitar?
Almost 13.
Yeah.
I had a friend who took lessons on Thursdays, and I took lessons on Mondays or Tuesdays. And so I'd get home from my lesson and say, "Hey, Michael, I got home from there." He'd be like, "Okay, I'll be right over." So we knew that. And so I would show him what I learned at my lesson, and then, he'd call me, "Hey, I just got home, come on over." And so, and somebody asked me how long I've been teaching. It's funny, I essentially started teaching immediately. That is a form of...
Yeah. Y'all sharing ideas, be like,
Right.
"Oh, that's awesome. Now, hey, let me show you this."
Mm-hmm.
I get it.
Yeah. That's essentially, and it's changed as far as the amount of knowledge I have about it. It's gotten
Yeah.
a lot more, but still the concept, I'm just showing people things, what they do with it is up to them.
True story. Because everybody always ends up putting their own spin on it and their own twist. Like Soulfly. Soulfly didn't realize when they first became a band, when they were still Sepultura, when they were like doing that in the early 80s. I want to say, yeah, it had to have been the early 80s. Maybe the late 70s. I don't know. I can't remember exactly how far, like when they exactly started. But they didn't realize that their guitars weren't tuned.
Oh, right.
At all. None of their instruments were tuned. Like, the guitar was missing a string. And they just got out there and they did it. And they ended up turning Sepultura into something fucking phenomenal. And the same thing with Soulfly. The giant cult following that follows them is, like, unreal to me.
So is that the same band, or is it just...
Basically, I want to say there's a couple little member mix-ups there, but it's the same lead singer, and I want to say maybe the same drummer. I'm not for sure.
Well, I'll have to listen to them. Send me a link or something. I got the...
Soulfly is like, they can do... Some of it will hit me, and I'm like, too much. Too heavy. Stop yelling at me. But there's a lot of it, too, that has...
Stop yelling at me.
Yeah. Well, some metal is like that to me, like hardcore.
Yeah.
My husband
You feel like
listens.
you're being attacked.
Yes. And it is. I gotta be in a certain kind of mood, and usually it's not a good one. When I'm like listening to something like that, which is few and far between. Like Obituary and like Cannibal Corpse, too much. Too much. Take it down a notch, homie.
I had Mike Casey here last week, and magician Mike Casey.
Yeah. I met him one time at Beer Garden.
He said that he hung out with. He was doing something. For some reason, I can't remember the details of I can't remember everything we talked about, but he did spend some time with Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, and I've always thought that guy seemed like a really neat person. Had a lot going on. But I listened to them, growing up. Power metal. I remember somebody calling it power metal. And
Hair metal.
Yeah. Well, their hair metal to me was it was the enemy.
Yeah.
Unless you think of like early Motley Crue, they almost started that movement in L.A.
Then they went
Quite
on.
right.
That's what I call glam metal. Glam metal.
Right. Hair metal, glam metal. That's what I call it too.
But
then the term glam goes back to early '70s with, of course, Mark Bolan and David Bowie. So I want to make sure that there's a differentiation, because to me, bands like Poison and Warrant and Cherry Pie and all that stuff, it was the worst of the worst. And if you had long hair and somebody confuses you with that, it used to bother me quite a bit.
I get that.
I'd be like, no, that's absolute garbage. Say, well, I thought you were a real glammy person. I said, look, it's a completely different thing.
That's fake and plastic, though. That was the thing about that.
Yeah. And almost like deliberately, right? Packaging.
My least favorite of all time out of that genre is David Lee Roth.
Well, I thought he was funny with Van Halen. He put on a show, but
I've tried. I've tried.
There are a lot of Van Halen fans in Raleigh. That it's funny how different areas have different.
There's a lot of people that like have gotten upset with me over that statement. I'm like, sorry.
Have you ever listened to his well, maybe if you don't like him, I'll sit here and talk about him for the next hour. No, I'm kidding. I'm not a fan. I don't dislike him, but I have listened to some of his like outtakes of all his greatest screams on YouTube, and that can put me in stitches. It's pretty funny.
I'll have to check it out.
But yeah, he's pretty cheesy, but again, sort of deliberately, right?
He's got to. Like, did you ever watch that Adult Swim show, animated show, Metalocalypse?
Oh yeah.
And their Dr. Roxo, yeah. So it was David Lee Roth, like up and down, and like it's probably one of my favorite characters out of that show. And my husband said it's because I hate David Lee Roth, and he was like, "How do you hate the person but the clown?" I was like, "Because he's a clown."
He is a clown. Have you ever seen those old videos that he did for when he did a solo career, like California Girls?
Yes.
That's Life. Those were perfect. Like, and even stuff that later Van Halen with him, the Hot for Teacher. Like those videos were so great when you were high. They were perfect.
I don't know, I've been pretty fucking high, and I was like, I've never like.
Okay. Touché.
So another one's comedian that I guess reminds me of David Lee Roth is Andrew Dice Clay, and that whole brand of comedy and that.
Andrew Dice Clay was. I mean, I think I saw an interview with him where he actually cried. He broke down because he was like, people don't get it that it's performing, it's acting. People thought that I was this, misogynistic, like terrible, chauvinistic, this and that, and I was, but that was a joke. It was making fun of people that think that way, and people actually thought that I was that person.
I imagine it obliterated his comings and goings in the bedroom.
Right. Too many jokes there, Crystal. Yeah, well, I don't know. Comedy is it's a slippery slope sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Dave Chappelle had a lot of problems with that. And, I think Andrew Dice Clay got canceled on, before there was even that word.
Because it was gross.
On SNL, yeah.
Because it was gross.
He was. Yeah, he was very, very just disrespectful to women, almost across the board all the time. And I guess it's one thing to make fun of those kind of people, but when you're laughing with them, there's the fine line of laughing with them or laughing at them,
Yeah.
And when you're laughing with somebody, you're almost agreeing with that,
Yeah. You know what? I'll take back my previous statement. I hate the character that Andrew Dice played.
Right. The Dice Man.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the word moist.
He was over the top. Yeah.
That was a bit much. But I think we all know better. That was 30 years ago.
Yeah. Things have changed so much. It's so much better now. In some ways. I mean, I have to say that in my lifetime, I used to make the joke just to put things in perspective. There weren't any gay people in my high school.
Right.
It's like, nobody would talk about it. And you see, high school now, and there's, people walking arm in arm.
Even when I was in high school, there was not as many that were that talked about it. You had just a fair few. Like, we had, there's two girls and they were best friends all the way through middle school, and they ended up coming out in high school and openly being a couple. And
okay, that's great. Did they get a lot of discrimination?
Yeah. Yeah, they did. They got fucked with a couple of times, but they hung out with the metal kids. So, my group, I hung out with the metal kids in school. Our group wasn't like that, but then our high school sectioned out. You had you had the redneck kids, and then you had the jocks and the cheerleaders that hung out, and then you had the stoners, and then you had the emo kids. That was new. That was a whole new concept. And then you had the metal kids, which are the angry end of puberty, I think.
Right, but at the same time, all inclusive. You know?
Yeah. No, we didn't let anybody fuck with them.
Yeah.
And then they didn't really let anybody fuck with them either. But they did. You would hear people talk. And I imagine it's like, that shit hurt their feelings, but
yeah, you have to be tough to be different, or to have thick skin or something. But the thing is, I mean, we're seeing like, different sexual preferences. It's not that different. It never really has been. It's just been marginalized over and over and over again.
I don't know. I'm pretty thankful the way I brought my kids up. I started bringing mine up in Key West.
How many kids do you have?
I have 4 total.
Oh, wow. Good for you. That's amazing.
I always say it like, well, one of them I didn't birth. But it's like, I still brought 3 to the table. So.
Yeah. I mean, did you? And were they all, what were the ages?
So my oldest will be 17 in November. The next one, he just turned 13 in August. And my daughter and my stepson, they're both 11.
Oh, wow. So they're close enough proximity.
They're 6 days apart in age.
Huh. Well, so they were all like kids at the same time as when I said were. I know that you still have kids, which is a blessing and a curse, right?
Yeah.
So you had you were juggling, right?
They're fun though.
Yeah.
They're fun though. And thank God they're to this. You were pretty self-sufficient.
Yeah. Cool.
They're finally to that point.
And you let them like do their own thing, make their own choices.
Pretty much. I try to intervene as little as possible when it comes to choices and friends, and I'm there to guide them.
Yeah.
My daughter just has hit a point where it's like, you're not making good choices in school right now, and you're about to go down a path that I'm familiar with and don't.
Right. Did you have any experience with that path? Because I mean, sharing experience to me seems like the only thing you could ever do with.
I ran everything in the dirt, and I had a lot of potential. She does too. I was really young when I had my kids. That's a big topic of discussion in my house. I'm like, is this fun? Everybody tell me, is this fun? They're all like, no. I'm like, we could be living a lot cushier. Make smart choices.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, they're going to do what they're going to do.
They are.
All of mine are like hitting that age where they're like starting to, well, I'm going to do what I want to do anyway. And I'm going, it's not going to turn out well.
They're going to learn something though, right?
Yeah.
Life as a teacher. You got to be, well, I don't know. I got a DUI when I was 16, so.
Yeah.
Which I thought that was as early as you could get a DUI.
Oh, no.
Until I got into the program, and I was like, no, you can get it when you're 12. It's just, you could not have a license and get a DUI.
My uncle was 14 on a bicycle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, right? Until you realize it's not.
That was just a precursor of all hell to come. But anyway, is that a vulture?
Yeah, that's what is his name? Evan Cromwell Vulture. I forgot. I have a lot of names for things in here, and I've forgotten. I have a plant in there that's named Sebastian. What's his name? It's the actor Cumberbatch.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Benedict Cumberbatch. I mean, what a name, right? You gotta have a plant named Benedict Cumberbatch. Why not? But yeah, that's it's pretty cool. I'll let you know. You check it out. A friend of my neighbor actually brought me that branch and said, and I was like, "What is this, Kathleen?" And she was like, "It's a branch." I said, "Yeah, but why are you giving it to me?" how you can hang this up, do this, think about the potential of it, Eliot. And I was like, oh. And so
I too am a stick collector.
well, it's got a cool shape to it, right?
It does.
And it's one of those kind of furry sticks, you know, like the.
Oh, neat.
It looks like a Wookiee coat, and I got the vulture attached on there. But it's very detailed, that vulture. I have a vultures T-shirt that I got. You know, Debbie Harry is famous for having that vultures T-shirt. I actually have 3 of them.
I like Blondie too.
Oh yeah. What
I've started listening to a lot of Madonna.
right? Like what era? Just all of it? Do you like the?
Yeah, kind of all of it. Yeah, kind of all of it, all the way around. Like I'll go to
borderline?
Spotify and like do the This Is Madonna playlist, and it's just like greatest hits and most listened to across all the albums on Spotify.
Hmm. I had a theory about bands coming out in the 90s that we were like Jane's Addiction's album, like it was different, like almost every song was a different thing. Well, I mean, I guess
It's like it's a different band.
you're right, and Led Zeppelin did that a lot too, but they were kind of in their own
I like
category.
that
But you know, if you listen to a greatest hits album, say by a band like the Rolling Stones, they went through so many different periods that you're listening to different genres in one album, so to speak.
Yeah.
And in that, because of that, a band could do that. You know, like their first album could be like a greatest hits album that goes all over the map in different time eras, but they're all. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I had problems with managers and stuff not knowing. It's like, we don't know how to promote you because you have so many different genres, and it's like, I said, it's like a greatest hits album, right?
Ta-da!
Yeah.
Perfect.
All of them are hits. What kind of music is this? Good music.
There's a heavier band that me and my husband listen to. It's called Dog Fashion Disco, and it's every song is like a different album, or like a whole different band rather.
Right.
You know.
The name almost implies that. It's sort of a hodgepodge, right?
Yeah. So this circles back to where we were talking about Soulfly earlier. We found this band. We'd struck up conversation with this other couple, and the reason we struck up conversation was because this hoodie she was wearing, and it's like this tripped out like White Rabbit, Alice in Wonderland kind of rabbit, and it's nuts. It was nuts, and we were commenting on her hoodie, and she was telling us about it, and we're like, no, I've never heard of this, and she goes, just check it out. If you don't like one song, don't worry.
Right.
You'll like the next one. And she's not wrong.
Wow. Are they recent? Is this the same band that was the other unpronounceable name for me?
Sepultura?
Sepultura, right. Late 70s,
Yes,
early 80s.
yes. But we were there to see Soulfly. We were there to see kind of what it evolved into.
And are they still performing?
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic.
Uh-huh. We saw, that was the last concert we saw in 2020. But
All right.
this particular occasion, so we struck up conversation with this girl and her boyfriend, and we're talking about her hoodie, and we start talking about that band. We end up going inside. Soulfly comes out on stage, and like this place erupted. I thought this place was gonna cave in on itself because this mosh pit just ended up being so huge and so massive. Which they left us there for 7 local Virginia Beach metal bands before Soulfly ever came on stage at like 11:30.
Oh, wow. So you've been pummeled.
Kind of the whole time.
Did you like the local bands?
A couple of them. I don't remember who any of them were. They had Jameson on special that evening, and
Oh, good.
they left us there for a long time.
You had time to prep.
Uh-huh.
You get so much time to prep the band that comes out. The ones that you went there to see, you don't remember the whole show.
Mm-hmm.
Did they come out?
This girl ended up losing her hoodie in that mosh pit. And
The cool hoodie?
Yeah.
Oh.
So I ended up tripping over it, pulled it up, saw what it was, and I went, I'm gonna put that around my waist. Hopefully, I'll catch her before the end of the show.
Did you?
Huh? I did not.
Oh. Well,
We still have that hoodie.
We have your hoodie.
It's worn for. It's well worn at this point. It was pretty well worn when it got dropped.
Right. And then it got worn into the ground, I'm sure, or trampled somewhat.
Guess what? Your hoodie wasn't trashed.
Yeah. Wow. So, you said you worked in the restaurant industry, and you're doing. Do you like? Did you like that or prefer that to what you're doing now, or how do you feel that's? How is that evolving for you? As far as where you're at with it now, do you like it? Do you like it better?
I do like what I'm doing now better. I like working just in a bar. But for a long time, I really liked that fast pace. And I do, but I still have my fast paced moments at Night Rider. And Wicked Witch especially. Wicked Witch gets their goth night events get pretty balls to the wall.
Yeah, is it still, is it been crowded?
Oh yeah.
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 I haven't been. I went with Roger. When was the last time we went to that?
I don't remember.
It's been like, I would say at least 5 or 6 months. But I met a lot of neat people.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I danced in a cage. Roger took some neat pictures. So
That's awesome.
we're still using it.
Nadine tried to get me in the cage last Safe Word event, and I was like, absolutely not. Nope.
So how is that? They have like, don't they have like a kink night and this and this? Like it's not, they're separate.
Yeah.
In some ways.
Yeah, they're
It's not-
totally separate.
How does that lay out? Is it like the first week is this, the second week is this?
I
or-
think it's the second Saturday of the month is when Safe Word is.
Mhm.
And then I want to say it's the last Saturday of the month that's Goth Night. And then every other Friday they do a Hex Ed, which is like, it's kind of like a mini Goth Night. But like the last 2 Hex Eds, they've had Tarot Reader come out.
Oh, nice.
It's the first time I've ever had anybody read my tarot.
Oh.
I've read for myself and I've reluctantly read for other people. I don't like reading for other people really. I'm not as well versed.
Yeah. Well, it takes practice, I'm sure.
Yeah, I have not put the work into doing it
So how long have you been doing that? Tarot readings.
since I was 13.
Do you have like different decks, or do you have one that you sort of rely on?
I have a couple of different decks. I had a couple more, but they ended up destroyed in a car accident, actually.
Didn't see that coming.
Did not. Not at all.
Oh, here it is. It has a card that has 2.
But no, I started doing that when I was 13. Against my grandfather's adamant wishes.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Well,
So,
my parents were the same way. So.
I went to private Christian school from kindergarten to 5th grade.
Did they see that as anti-Christian or witchcraft or?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
People don't understand that stuff. They have a very narrow view of anything that's away from what they do. Which I mean, good luck with that in life, right?
As open-minded as my grandfather was capable of being, he absolutely was not. Not at all. This world, he wouldn't have had it. It'd have drove him crazy. He'd be one of those old men you couldn't really talk to anymore.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
I just got a new deck. It's the Crowley one. It's really, really artistic. And I had a book on that specific deck. And so to learn it, I just decided I would grab a card and then go to the chapter in that book and read about that each day.
I do that.
And become acquainted with the whole thing.
I think my issue with it is like this: if I feel muddied, you know, like if my aura doesn't feel well, I won't mess with it.
Oh, that's probably a good idea.
And maybe I should.
Maybe that's the best time. Who knows?
True story.
I mean, I know that like songwriting. I used to think that you had to be here or there, or for me, drunk,
No.
to write a song. But some of the best stuff comes out of nowhere, and in some instances, it's when you're not necessarily feeling that inspired, so to speak. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
I just got the Roger Waite deck. Is it Roger Waite?
I don't know. I haven't heard of that one.
It's something Waite. It starts with an R. Rider Waite deck. So it's like the original deck.
Oh, they're just like the rider pack. Yeah, I
but
had one of
it's
those.
like a little mini pack.
Oh, cool.
And they're easier for me to shuffle. Most people I see shuffling tarot, they're like shuffling them like this. I can't shuffle like that.
Oh, right.
Even my big decks, I would always like a deck of playing cards.
The one I have now is pretty big. I had the smaller rider pack when like I was a teenager, and that one to me is great to start off with, just because it's like the pictures are very simple, and the explanation in them is it's right there, and everything else sort of can be built off of those.
My very first deck was this Celtic Dragon deck that Cunningham put out. I don't have that deck. I have the same deck that I've had to rebuy. I lost the original deck in a move, but it was it's January. It was right after Christmas, and my grandmother in Michigan would always send me $100 for my birthday and Christmas.
Nice.
She'd send me a check. It was kind of the only interaction we were having. Anyway, but I was excited about it, and I was like counting on it, like I was owed it, like an asshole. But I had already picked out what I was going to buy. I already knew what I was going to buy. And so there was a Walmart, and there was a Books A Million right next door. We did grocery shopping weekly. We hit Books A Million weekly. That was one thing about my grandfather. He never told me no about any book that I ever wanted to buy. Except for this book. Now, I did ask for this. And I was like, can I get this? And it was like a big, thick book. And it was like, had like artist pages in there and all this other stuff. And the deck, absolutely not. It was $30. Which is what I paid for it this past year. Again. Anyway, so we were supposed to be going grocery shopping, and then we would do Books A Million together, and I was like, well, I don't really feel like going grocery shopping. Do you mind if when I was 13, I was just getting to that, hey, let me branch out by myself. Let me go do this. And I snagged my opportunity to do it. It was the very first time.
Good.
And I snagged my opportunity, and I got in there, and then that was the deck I had been looking at, and I grabbed it, and then I got distracted and started looking at all the other ones. I was like, I've only got a limited amount of money. I don't know, when I'm going to be able to do this again.
Right. Gotta make a quick decision.
So I did not. I dallied. And just as I was getting done, or maybe it wasn't even that long, maybe you just had a feeling and I was putting off an air that I was about to do something sneaky. That could have also been it. Anyway, he met me back out at the car just as I was like shoving it under the seat in the car. And was like, hey. And he was like, oh, what'd you buy? Nothing. I was just looking for something. And called me right out and stuck his hand under the seat and snatched.
So what did he basically did he confiscate it?
No, he let me keep it.
Oh, good.
Oh, he was mad. He was so mad. I wouldn't open it for like a week after that. I was like, I don't even want to hear me open it.
Yeah, maybe you probably should have just washed the karma off. Like that. I'm going to flip the record, so keep talking.
But no, and that always stuck with me though. He still let me keep it. And I'm sure he went through my room and like checked it out and like read up on it. And I didn't ever hear a lot of trash about it after that.
Yeah. Well, good. I mean,
But he was upset in that moment.
that's too bad.
Yeah, like I said, he could be closed-minded.
Oh, you said you like this. This is Auto American.
Nice.
I'd never listened to this entire. I guess I did maybe, but I listened to this a few months back and I couldn't believe how good it was.
Would you say this is just an angel, or is this supposed to be a goddess?
I look at that as Art Nouveau. I don't know if I would want to call it a goddess, but I mean that was sort of the. Yeah, it is sort of a goddess portrayal of women, which I'm all for. So it's just that's the way that a lot of Art Nouveau depicts women with sort of Greek.
I was gonna say it's very Greek.
Flowing, or it could be a Halston.
Mm-hmm. My husband and I follow a pagan path, and we're more inclined to like Norse gods. And you gotta be careful, like when you say that now, is there's a very large group of people that follow Norse faith and I don't want to say faith, the Norse path, and are very bigoted.
Mm.
They
Okay.
suck, and
Yeah,
we're
I
not
know what
those
you're
people.
saying.
Like to the point where you're scared to use runes or write runes on anything. So I'll be like, "Oh, you're a racist," and I'm like, "Nope, I'm not. I assure you."
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I can see how people could misconstrue that, and people are, ready to jump on things.
Quick fast. But I said that to say this: I have a collection of Norse goddesses. Well, I have a Valkyrie, and then I have Frigga, and I have a Freya, and then I have the Norns, which is basically the concept of maiden, mother, crone.
Okay, yeah, I'm only familiar with Valkyrie and Freya.
Frigga is my patron.
How do you say it?
Frigga.
Oh, Frigga. I think I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you.
You're okay.
I think I'm getting confused with the singer for ABBA. Oh, that's Frida. Okay, I'm sorry. Please continue.
That's a good name.
Yeah.
I think Frigga's a good name.
Swedish, I guess.
But Frigga is supposedly Odin's wife and the mother of Thor, Balder. She's the goddess of the homestead. She's the patron of, I guess I would say, mothering and childbirth and, keeping your house together.
Well, that's something I aspire to every day.
I do. Which all of it's just be a good person.
Yeah, be nice to other people. Life's gonna happen the way it's gonna happen.
Yeah. I really like your stained glass. Are those sticky films?
Mm-hmm.
I've been looking at those because we've got French doors
Yeah.
that lead out to our porch, and it's like that's the window in our room. Like I've got blackout curtains on them right now because that's our bedroom. But
I've got I'll show you the difference in all of these. That one's a lot more textured, the one behind Roger. And
Yeah.
then this one over here is somewhat textured. But then they have this, we can talk about that after the interview if you want to. Ask them in the kitchen too. But
oh, nice.
I don't get a lot of light in here. And I had the blinds up because the street's pretty close,
Mm-hmm.
and people could look in here, and I don't want to be running around naked, so I put those on the bottom half, and that seems to do it. And that way I can have as much light coming in as possible. But it's still pretty dim in here,
Yeah,
I'm not.
I like it though.
Yeah, thanks.
What year was it built?
36 maybe. Yeah, my landlords are really, really nice people.
Have you been here long?
About 5 years.
Nice.
Yeah, there's a deck too.
Nice.
And it's second, the property goes like this. So once you get up to the deck, you're like up. You're in the trees.
Nice. We're like out in the country. Like, it's 28 bucks roundabout before tip to get out to Raleigh when I take a lift.
Oh, wow. Is it worth it?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I only have to do it twice a week.
Right.
I only have to do it twice a week. My husband takes me the other 2 times.
Okay.
So when I was working 2 jobs, though, it was costing me like right at $150 a month, or a week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Just transportation.
Uh-huh.
That's a lot.
Yeah, well, I'm glad I'm down to the 1 job.
Are you good at budgeting?
No. No, not at all. Not at all. That's my husband's job.
Yeah, some people just have an knack for that sort of thing, right?
He is. He's good at it.
Okay.
My grandfather was good at it. Growing up, I didn't realize that we were well off. I didn't find that out till after my grandfather passed away, because he was like part of that old school where you don't ask what other people make or what they pay for this. We don't talk about finances.
That's how my dad was.
I don't get it. It left a lot of confusion there in the end when he passed away, because he didn't have a will, and it was like, it was a treasure hunt, more or less. So I just recently got on the website where like the state owes you money for different things, or they have it's like a Federal Reserve website or something, and you type in somebody's name. I typed in my grandfather's name. There's like 16 different stocks that nobody knew about that never got cashed out, and I'm now his only living heir.
Oh, wow. Well, good for you.
It's all like $12 or $14 or something like that, but it's like a couple $100,
right?
You know?
Yeah, it's yours.
And I was like, and it is, and I went through, once that hit like that, I started typing in everybody I knew. I was like, for real? I had to call my friend a couple of times. I was like, yo, and I just found this name. They're related to you, aren't they? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, get a hold of them, look into that. Like, how many thousands of people have money sitting in Federal Reserve that they're not volunteering to tell you about?
Hell no.
Nobody volunteered this shit. I found it on a Facebook page. Like somebody else, if they're like, hey, if you were unaware, this is a thing, you should check into it.
Maybe I'll look at that. It sounds like something that, I'm not sure. I'd probably think about
But that proved to me how often and how many different little places my grandfather had squirreled stuff away. And like this account and this stock and this thing over here and dabbling over here with this. And I was like, jeez. I had every tax record ever. Every W-2 he ever received. From his very first, from the very first year he ever paid taxes.
Wow.
Had every paycheck stub.
Organized? Like file cabinets? Or where was this?
Boxes.
Oh, wow. That's...
Like file boxes.
Like an attic's thing? Wow.
We spent 6 months burning and shredding paper.
Yeah.
Because of all this jazz. And we're like, why? And he was always the one to be like, oh, you only need to keep this stuff for 7 years.
Right. Yeah, that's true, isn't it? Huh.
That is one thing I do appreciate about technology. All of mine is squirreled away into one little account. I've been using TurboTax for the last 10 years. No longer than that.
So, you mentioned your husband. How long have you been married?
We've legally only been married since February. We got married 2/22/22 on a Tuesday at like 2:18 p.m. We were supposed to get married September the 3rd. We've been together 9 years though.
Oh wow, that's fantastic.
He's my first love. So from way back when we were younger, and we had a 10-year hiatus.
Huh.
And didn't see or speak to each other. And then I moved back to North Carolina, and he found out I moved back to North Carolina and was like legit free, and he called me up. And I wouldn't have anything to do with him for like the first 2 weeks of it. I was like, no, absolutely not. I don't need this shit right now.
So was there a breakup and then a hiatus?
Uh-huh.
Huh.
So he was my first summer love. And I was young, and I like told myself for a really long time that I only felt that way because I was young and I was infatuated, and this is just a thing that everybody goes through.
Right.
And 10 years goes by, and he was always in the back of my head.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
Wow.
Always.
Did you have many relationships and
No.
like this?
No, I got with my children's father and my ex-husband.
Right.
And we stayed together for 8 years, and we split up in 2012. I had been separated for a solid year. I wouldn't have anything to do with Wes until I had been separated for a solid year.
Okay.
From my ex-husband. I was like, nope, absolutely not.
Well, sometimes, I like to take a little time.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and I had dated somebody briefly not long after me and my ex-husband split up. And he was a really good friend of mine to start with, and that was my, what do they call that? Rebound.
Right.
I hate to put it that way, but it ended up being, it hurts me now to this day because he was a really good friend, and I still do consider him a really good friend. I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
I set alarms for everything.
So what is that for?
That is to let me know I'm not,
If you don't mind me asking.
far from having to go to work.
Oh, okay. Well, so you said Wes, is that your husband?
Mm-hmm.
Well, continued success with that. That must have been amazing. So when you said he was your first love and you were in other relationships, you sort of did the quick rebound,
And then-
but it never went away, right?
No, never ever. Never ever. And it would be stuff like in entertainment. And we only spent maybe a couple of months together before that, And we were young, we were both living at home. We didn't hang out like we did as adults. And we talked. I didn't answer his message for a couple of weeks. And then when I did answer, I refused to give him my phone number, and I gave that a couple of weeks. And then finally I broke down and I gave him my phone number, and the next weekend we ended up spending 3 or 4 days together. And we've not really been apart since then.
Oh wow. Well, that's a triumphant love story.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
I'm glad you got to live that.
Me too. We've got a really cool anniversary too now. We got impatient. I got impatient. I was like, I don't have the patience to wait until September to do this. I was like, tomorrow is 2/22/22 on a Tuesday. There's not going to be another cool date like that roll around. I was like,
Yeah.
come on, let's do it now.
Just the two of us.
Yep. It was just us, a friend of mine, and our best friend that introduced us way back when. That introduced us. Well, that's still my best friend. We're still friends.
Oh, that's beautiful.
She just got a scholarship and got accepted to Campbell University to acquire her bachelor's, and she'll be able to teach elementary science when she gets done with it.
Well, that's cool. She always been a fan of that? Is that her?
No.
No?
No.
Does she just have...
It's such a hard left turn from what Christine was when we met.
Uh-huh.
It's fucking unreal. That hit me earlier today. I was like, who'd have thunk it? Disorganized, fucking metalhead, space cadet Christine is gonna go be a 5th grade science teacher. She's not said 5th grade, but I bet it's 5th grade. I bet it's 5th grade science. I don't know why, but I feel like it probably will be.
That'll be funny when it happens. And you're like...
She's a trip. She and I took about a 10-year hiatus from being friends because of my shitty decisions. Also, that's another reason that he and I had a 10-year hiatus. I decided to take a trip down the rabbit hole for 10 years. My first marriage was garbage.
Wow. I'm sorry.
Unfortunately. But shit happens and we learn from it.
Yeah. Yeah, you make a good decision. If you make a bad decision, you probably will still learn something from it. If you're open to it and you don't feel like you're, when people have relationships and they dissolve and you never look at what you did, you just think that that person's the reason.
That's where where I mentioned my rebound relationship after my ex-husband and I split up. I'm glad it happened, but I wish we could still be friends now. Mm-hmm. And I thought we were, and then I've tried to contact him probably 3 or 4 times since Wes and I got married. Because he and Wes met. I took Wes down to Key West. A couple of times and rolled up. I always like to get a hold of everybody I used to know. I'd rather go do local stuff than touristy stuff. I've been trying to do the Hemingway house since I moved down there the first time and still haven't done it.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was down there.
Yeah. I've seen it through the gates. And you can see a lot of it, but you can go inside and you can tour it. All the cats are still there, the 6-toed cats. There's still generations and generations of those.
Oh. So the cats have had kittens and they've grown up there? Oh, that's pretty cool.
There's a colony of 6-toed cats there. And they have volunteers that come in and clean up the place. I don't know if anybody lives there now or not. I don't think so.
Do you always go to the same island when you go to Key West? Or is there...
Usually I stay in Key West proper, and then we might head up north and do Big Pine. But really, Key West is where my heart is. That's the first place. I lived in Key West by myself after my ex-husband and I split up for about 6 months. And took some time and okay, because I was young when I got with my ex-husband. I was 16. And he was 23.
That's the ghost.
Yeah.
The winged ghost.
So I wanted to take some time and figure out who I was as a person, as an adult.
Right? It hadn't been a while, right? Since you've been solo.
I went straight from my grandmother's house to his house. There was no living alone or anything like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I went living alone. I always had lived in so many different places, but I don't know. I guess I'm a homebody.
Yeah. Are you from North Carolina originally?
Yeah. Yeah, I grew up in Greensboro.
Okay.
I moved around quite a bit. I lived in Rocky Mount for a while when my folks split up. That's where I actually first became aware of Roger Flake.
Yeah. I worked in Rocky Mount for about 2.5 years.
Yeah. That was the high school that didn't have any gay people, so.
Yeah.
And then I went to Page High School in Greensboro, and then I moved out to, I went to college in Greensboro just because I had a band there, and my parents wanted me to get an education, and so I stayed there and did that. And then I went to Nashville, Tennessee, played music for a long time. That's where I did all the touring and all the drinking. Yeah, I finally got tired of that whole lifestyle and moved back to North Carolina to see my mom. She needed help.
Yeah.